Hello and welcome to Bending Perspective, a podcast about Avatar the Last Airbender. Today we're going to be covering the 3 episodes, Zuko Alone, The Chase, and Bitter Work. My name is Emily.
I'm Abigail.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Adrian.
Yay! Okay, so who wants to do Zuko Alone? Mom, right?
I'll do Zuko Alone.
Go for it.
So, Zuko Alone starts with Zuko riding his ostrich horse by himself. Alone. And he comes across a pair of earthbenders Earth Kingdom residents, and he kind of reaches for his swords like he's going to rob them, but then he notices that the woman's pregnant, so he doesn't. Mm-hmm. And then he continues, and he winds up in a village, and he uses the last of his money, absolutely the last that he has. He wanted to buy food for himself and feed for his ostrich horse, but he didn't have enough money. So he bought feed for his ostrich horse. And then some Earth Kingdom soldiers came and kind of bullied him because they thought that he threw something at them. It wasn't him. It was a little kid that he saw throw an egg at them. They blamed it on Zuko. And of course, he kind of didn't back down from them and covered for the little kid. So they stole all his stuff and kind of just bullied him a little bit. The little kid comes out, says, thanks for not ratting me out, and hey, follow me home and I'll feed your ostrich horse. So he goes to the kid's home, winds up staying there a few days with the family. They take him in. The father is very, understanding and doesn't press him on his identity or anything. He never gives a name. And the little kid obviously idolizes him and looks up to him because he stood up to the Earth Kingdom soldiers. We find out from this family that the Earth Kingdom soldiers they're kind of tyrants in this little village, and they're very cruel. So, turns out that the oldest son of this family has gone off to war, and the Earth Kingdom soldiers show up to, tell them and gloat and kind of cruelly inform them that their son's been captured by the Fire Nation. We learn that some heinous things that Fire Nation apparently does to capture Earth Kingdom folks. Zuko decides to leave, and as he does, he gives his dagger to the little Earth Kingdom boy, and he sets off. Lots of things happen. This is getting long. Turns out that the Earth soldiers came back, and the little boy tried to attack him with the dagger, and then he gets taken, and the mother comes and begs Zuko for help, and he goes back to face them. He fights off like 3 of them with just his swords, but he can't fight off the last one, who's an earthbender, and he winds up firebending by mistake. When he does this, everybody sees that he's, a firebender, and he stands up and proudly proclaims that he is Zuko. He's son of the Fire Lord Ozai. He's prince of the kingdom, heir to the throne. And, instead of being grateful for what he did, the Earth Kingdom family says that they hate him and pull away from him because he's a firebender.
You didn't mention any of the facts.
I know, I was going to do it at the end.
Okay.
So backstory, we got flashes through this whole thing of the backstory, and we see little Zuko with his mother, Ursa, and his little sister, Azula, and we kind of get a little bit more of the family dynamics here. The mother is very compassionate and caring. Azula is just crazy, has apparently always been, and oh my gosh, so much happens in this episode. So, Iroh is at the siege of Ba Sing Se at this time of this flashback, and it turns out that his son is killed, and he leaves the siege, or something happens. I'm not real clear on it. Ozai hatches a plan, which Azula is firmly in support of, to supplant Iroh as the heir and Ozai to take the throne after Zuko's grandfather dies. We see Ozai's absolute disappointment in Zuko because when they are called to a thing, an audience in front of the Fire Lord, Azula is asked to show off her firebending moves. She's, congratulated on being a prodigy, and Zuko tries to match what she does and cannot do it. So, then Azula tells him that the Fire Lord told Ozai that he was not going to overthrow Iroh, and that he was going to because Iroh lost his oldest son, then Ozai has to lose his son as well, and Ozai was going to come kill Zuko in the morning. And Zuko apparently believes this. But in the morning, his mother speaks to him, or that night, his mother speaks to him, tells him to always remember who he is, And then the next morning, she's gone. And Zuko looks for her and sees only his father. And his grandfather's dead.
Oh, dun, dun.
And Ozai has been named the new Fire Lord.
Yep. Alright, thoughts?
Very heavy
Azula's
Western
always a liar.
vibes.
Huh?
Azula's always a liar. Azula's always a liar. Or always lies.
Always lies.
Azula always lies. Azula always lies.
Okay, we don't need to remix. One hand.
Azula always lies. Azula always...
It's a
Dan.
very Western vibe to this episode.
Yeah, I love Zuko in a Western. He's like Clint Eastwood in this episode.
Okay, I know I'm not wrong because I checked. This is the only time so far that we've had an episode without Aang in it, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
It's literally Zuko alone.
Yes, he's the only main character that we see.
Well,
Uncle Iroh
But in flashbacks.
in flashbacks.
Yeah, so what about that flashback, huh?
is this the first time we learned he had a son?
No. Because he tells him in
Oh, that's right,
season
that-
one
He
finale.
tells
season
him,
one finale.
I lost my son and I've always thought of you as my son. Yeah, he
Yeah.
tells him that already. We knew that.
So, like, did the mom kill the granddad?
I don't know. What are y'all's
No, I'm
theories?
so, okay, I have two. One is that it was true. Azula didn't lie. And the Fire Lord Azulan said that he had to kill Zuko.
Okay.
So, like you, Abigail, did Zuko's mom then kill the Fire Lord to protect Zuko? That's one
But
possibility.
wouldn't that still make Uncle Iroh king? That wouldn't change birthright.
I don't know. Yeah, and I guess because I'm an idiot, or I guess because we've never seen Ozai,
Mhm.
like I did not have a conception of how old Ozai was.
Yeah.
So it did not register to me that Iroh was older until this episode, and I was
Neither.
like, oh, Iroh was the heir.
Yeah. Also, they still didn't show us.
I was about to say, we
I
still
know.
have no idea
Yeah.
what he looks like. And they went through great lengths for us not to see his face.
So,
cool. I
so
love that.
Symbolism
one
of that
one
crazy.
theory is that the mama killed the granddad to protect Zuko.
I don't understand how that protects
I don't know.
Zuko,
I don't
though.
either. But somehow either Ozai killed him or Mom killed him. Okay,
I
right?
agree.
So
But Mom went missing. I think it was
Mom went missing. So here's my other thing. Did Azulan, right? Azulan, did he demand Zuko for Iroh's son, and he compromise and give him the wife instead, and he killed his own wife, and she's dead.
Why did you have to lean in like that? And
That's my other theory.
Interesting theories.
Interesting theories.
Light may be shed on this subject in a future episode.
I hope so, because
Or
I'm
not.
very curious.
Or just
Because
not, because they
Okay,
don't, sometimes they do that to you. I don't know. Don't ask me.
Well, I just did.
answer the question.
No, I'm not answering any question.
Boo.
So, this is one of these things where Abigail and I are probably going to have to carry the brunt of the talking, because
Yeah,
there's probably
we
a lot
can't
of
say.
speculation here.
Okay, that's what people want. Sorry, y'all.
It is, Abigail. It is. You're a fan favorite. Natalie loves you.
Well, I would hope so. She is my sister.
So what do we think about, I'm interested in y'all's thoughts of Azula's psychology.
She's
She's
crazy.
insane. So manipulative. So selfish.
Cruel.
She's
Yeah.
very selfish.
So I think I just like wheeze. I don't know what that was. Do you feel like Zuko fits in the Fire Nation?
Well, we don't. Well, then again, we've not seen, and this show is very careful to show us that you have both good and bad people in every nation.
I agree.
Obviously, we had met some Earth Kingdom soldiers in this episode that were, would have been right
Which
up there.
is good, by the way.
Yeah, it's good
because
for-
they've been painted in a very
Yes.
good light.
So I think that we've met the Zhao Zhang and we liked him, right? The deserter. So
that's right.
there's
Yeah,
some good folks in the Fire Nation, we think. And Aang had a Fire Nation friend.
Yeah,
So-
100 years ago.
Ursa's Fire Nation, his
Yeah.
mom, and she seems very, kind and compassionate. And I love
Yeah,
the
until
way,
she killed the king.
I know, I love the way that she lifted Zuko up after he failed in front of his grandfather by saying, no, I loved watching you. And the best thing about you is that You keep trying. And that's a theme we've heard from Zuko before. He said it at the end with Aang, right? When he was doing his whole speech in the cave at the end of of season 1. Yeah. When he talked about him being lucky to be born and the Zula born lucky, he says, I've had to fight for everything. So
it's made me strong.
It's made me strong. And I think that it was significant that he tried, and I rewatched it. So I think I got this right. He tried to give the dagger back to the boy, but the boy didn't take it, so he still has it.
The boy did not take the dagger. By the way, that's the same dagger that they cut their hair with.
I noticed.
Now the question we've all been waiting for. Mom, did you cry?
No, but I really, really wanted to.
Yeah, she was close. I was watching her.
So here's my next question. Upset. Did you go hide in the bathroom and cry so that they couldn't tell that he cried?
I did not.
Okay.
But, it was... Here's my thing about that whole episode. It shocked me that episode aired when it did in the middle of a lighthearted supposed kids show. That is an extremely dark episode. And it's an episode without any of our normal lighthearted comic relief. We have no Appa, no Momo, no Aang doing silly things, and Sokka being funny. We had none of that.
Yeah. That's very true. And on that note, I do not remember this episode one bit, meaning they did not rerun it.
And they did not rerun this one.
So it was probably not
well
received.
They didn't rerun season 2, period.
Really?
Period.
So it was really, there was so much being, wrestled with in that episode.
Yeah, the reason they don't rerun season 2 is there's so many intertwining
things.
It's hard to just play one.
Yeah, there's a lot of plot threads in season 2.
Because, I would argue that after Zuko alone, especially these next 3 chronological episodes, we're going to be in, a fluid story that if you watch one out of order, you are, lost.
Right.
It gets complicated. So...
Beautiful imagery in this episode. The beginning and the end was framed very nicely. He began the episode on his horse alone. He ended it on his horse alone.
Facing the sun.
Right?
Yeah.
Not the moon. Like the other ones were.
Right. And then the whole, I love the little interlude with him and the little boy.
Wait,
and the
that
swords.
means he's traveling. Where does the sun set?
In the east.
No, it rises in the
west.
east. It sets
so
in the
that
west.
means he's heading west.
Yeah.
So, I just was...
Not that that's important.
It was an emotional roller coaster for sure. I thought and it showed me a side of Iroh, that we hadn't seen before, but then the Iroh that we know was there. And it was probably always there because when Azula speaks about him, she calls him I don't know what she says. Goofy loves tea. Yeah. So he's always had that, that aspect.
He's always in our hearts.
Always.
But at the same time laughing about burning down Boston Bay.
Yes, he was. And sending gifts to his niece and nephew,
Yeah.
So again, like Ursa, we're seeing somebody who has a compassionate side, and we do not see that in Azula, and we don't believe it's there at Ozai either, because he's, yeah.
So one thing to point out in this episode is, Azula kind of makes fun of him at the end, but we were arguing, how old do you think Zuko is when his mom leaves?
It's hard to tell.
So Azula's younger than Zuko.
Zuko's obviously younger. I'm going to put him around, I guess he could be as old as 12.
I think 12.
Okay, so that means that he had 4 years.
In that house with his father and Azula.
He was banished around 60, I thought.
But how long
was he looking for the Avatar?
I think 2 years.
Oh.
So is he 18 now?
No, he's 16 now.
So he was banished?
16 now?
Yes.
I thought he was older than Sokka.
I thought he was 18.
Yeah.
No, he is not 18.
We've asked you this question before and you did not say 16.
I'm not good at ages. But Zuko is 16.
He may have been as young as 10.
Somebody Google that.
He may have been as young as 10 in that episode, I'm not sure. But he was alone in that household.
For a long time.
With Ozai and Azula, and that had to have been a miserable place to be.
Oh, absolutely. And Azula tortured him day in and day out. And you even see that he's old enough to not want to play with the girls.
Yes.
So he's in that age frame. So that ends, I would say, 6 or 7 of
he's older than that.
So he's older than 6 or 7, absolutely. He doesn't want to play with them, and she tortures the heck out of him.
But we do know because of the storm that when Iroh comes home,
Yeah, Iroh comes home relatively soon afterwards and starts protecting Zuko, I would say.
So Iroh's a part of his life fairly quickly after his mother leaves,
I would say so.
You would say so.
Well, you gotta see.
I don't know. The thing that there's a wrench in that is Ozai said we do not know when he will return.
Right.
I don't know if that was true or if that was just trying to convince him.
And he also wasn't at the funeral.
He was not.
You would think they would wait.
You would think.
No, not if you want to get coordinated quickly before the older brother comes home.
Yeah, you want to get that done quick. But then that tells us something about Iroh, is he did not come back and press his claim.
No, I don't think
he was distraught over his son, which they laughed at. But
Azula laughed at.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, that's a big deal. So then you see that relationship when Zuko was little, and Zuko just lost his mother and the nice person in his life, and then Uncle Iroh lost his son. And so they both filled roles that they needed.
Very, very good point.
That is true.
That is so true. Trust Abigail to see the family dynamics.
Yo, well, family development psychology, everybody.
Okay.
But, couple little minor things I noticed. I love the little discussion he has with the little boy about the swords. Mm-hmm. That they are not separate. You think of them as two parts of one whole. Mm. I think that's a very good description, perhaps, and symbolic of what's going on with him as well. Mm-hmm. First time we ever saw him firebend with the swords in his hands.
Oh, that was so cool.
I hope he does that from now on.
Yeah,
it looks so cool.
That was awesome.
It also seemed like he was maybe a little more controlled with it, or maybe I was just comparing him to that Earthbender who was obviously out of control and was not a great bender.
Yeah, that Earthbender was not a very good bender.
You mean the bully?
Yeah. That's clearly why he's not on the front lines. It's because he has to use the hammers to even Earthbend. Yeah. And he can't do much with it. He can only send like a few rocks that way.
But, oh man, just heartbreaking. And the little dagger too. That Iroh gave him. Was it say never give up fighting or never stop?
Give up without
fight.
And made in Earth Kingdom.
Made in the Earth Kingdom.
Yeah, read the inscription. Made in the Earth Kingdom. No, the other one.
That was one moment of lightheartedness that we had. Also, very cute. Zuko has never worked a day in his life because he's putting about 18 nails into one shingle.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're not from around here.
So we did have a couple of levity, little levity in there, but it was a very dark episode.
Yeah, it really was.
I loved it.
Oh.
It was very good. It was excellent.
Okay, it was a good episode. Alright, are you ready to move on?
I think so.
Okay, the chase.
Oh.
Dan the Man.
Alright, so we begin the episode with them making camp and Katara arguing with Toph over, helping them unpack, and Toph saying, I can pull my own weight. That argument continues throughout the episode, and Toph ends up feeling something that's like an avalanche, but isn't an avalanche. And it turns out to be this giant steam tank train thing that's coming after them. And so they get up and fly away, and they land somewhere else and pretty much go immediately to sleep. And then bam, turns out it's chasing them again. So they get up and leave and still keeps on chasing them time after time. And at some point we get Toph and Katara have this falling out where Toph says she's going to leave. She doesn't need the group anymore. She's done. And turns out they're being chased again, and they realize that the reason they're being able to track them is Appa is shedding everywhere. So Aang comes up with a version to take Appa's sheddings and go in a different direction while they wash Appa and they go in a different direction. Appa becomes really, really tired and ends up about to fall asleep again, and they see that earlier they figure out the people that are chasing them are Azula, May, and Ty Lee.
They tried to face them and were unsuccessful.
Yeah, unsuccessful.
In about 30 seconds.
It was bad. And so, Azula ends up following Aang, and Ty Lee and May end up following Sokka and Katara. They fight Sokka and Katara and win, but then Appa saves the day.
Always?
Azula and Aang end up fighting in a ghost town, and Zuko makes this really cool entrance where he shows up as well. We get this little face down scene. They end up fighting, and eventually Katara and Sokka end up joining them, and then Iroh joins them.
And then Toph.
And then Toph joins them.
Yeah. Everybody's there.
Everybody's there. And it takes everyone.
And it's like a 3-way fight.
It starts with a 3-way fight against Zuko, Aang, and Azula. They're the first people there. Then everybody gradually joins.
Mm-hmm.
Continue.
And so eventually Azula surrenders, quote unquote, and then while she's surrendering, she throws a firebolt at Iroh, downing him.
Yeah.
And Katara tries to help, and Zuko tells them all to leave, and that's where we end the episode.
And Azula escapes.
Azula escapes. Tell them about Toph and Iroh.
Yeah. That's right. While Toph is stomping away, being mad at the group, she comes across Iroh, and they end up having a bit of tea together, and Iroh gives Toph some advice, and Toph ends up giving Iroh some advice.
Yeah.
The same advice.
Yes, it was so good.
Yeah.
Right, so Iroh at this point, Zuko and Iroh are still separated in the beginning of the episode, and when he is introduced to Toph, we find out that he's been following Zuko at a distance, just basically jump in if needed, which does end up happening. And so it's really cool to see them meet up and then go save two different people.
I know.
It was really cool.
When Toph asked if he was lost, and Iroh said a little bit.
I know.
Oh boy.
And that teapot, y'all. He carved that teapot out of stone. It was just a rock teapot. Yes, it's just a rock teapot.
That's sweet.
Keep in mind that he had a golden teapot that Zuko had stolen.
That's true.
So that means he gave it away.
Yes.
Or sold it and got money or whatever.
So Zuko was tracking Azula, and Iroh was following Zuko.
Yes.
So
it really was a chase.
It really was a chase, and it just was.
Azula was following
Aang. Appa, really.
Appa.
And then Aang.
Gotcha. So there was a couple of moments in this where it was just, and it was so beautifully shot. I keep saying shot, but it was so beautifully animated. When Aang runs out of sheddings in the middle of that ghost town, and he just lowers himself down and waits.
Yeah,
that
was awesome.
Y'all,
I'd love to see that from Aang.
The imagery too of these two episodes together with their very Western aesthetic was just choice.
Yeah, I'm living for the
just choice.
So it's pretty entertaining to me that they actually thought that whole thing would work, that they would lead them the wrong way. But it would have
if Azula hadn't been smart.
Yeah.
It would have worked if they were still being chased by Zuko.
Yes.
Very
true.
Azula was too smart.
I think it falls obviously beneath the last fight scene, but I loved the fight scene with May and, what's her name? Ty Lee with Sokka and Katara.
Yes.
Just demolish them, and then Appa coming,
Appa was the real hero here, y'all. Oh, he was trying so hard, and he was so tired.
The fight with Toph, and then he goes, actually, Appa's been carrying your weight.
Yeah, that's the thing. Aang will go to bat for Appa.
Absolutely.
You step in Appa's direction, and he will end you.
Yeah, we've seen that throughout the episode. Like when Sokka complained about it, and was like, "Why don't we get all on your back and you can fly us to the North Pole?" But when Azula asks Aang, "Do you really want to fight me?" and then Zuko bursts out and says, "Yes, I do." It was like,
and her just attitude with her, like putting her hand over her eye and mocking her brother. Do you recognize me now?
Okay, so
she's just awful.
But it was kind of funny.
Is that the first time? Abigail?
I'm sorry.
I'm so worried about your psychotic tendencies. Please do not identify with Azula. Is this the first time that Azula sings Zuko's scar? Like,
no. Surely she
saw
it before he was banished. Yeah, she was there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but a burn is different from a scar.
True.
Yeah.
Well, remember they met up.
They met up at Amashi. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
The massage, when they were getting the massages, yes.
But was that the first time she's seen his scar?
Maybe.
Possibly.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Because he was banished, like, right after that duel.
They look very different. A scar versus a burn. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's just interesting. Okay, let's talk about the group's dynamic. With Toph.
Well,
what?
Me.
Yes, go.
Okay, so I
thought you were singing.
Toph has been so used to everybody doing everything for her. And her natural, what is that noise?
For real.
Is it I think
it's a bug.
Yeah, there's a bug that got inside and is buzzing against the window.
Oh, we can't have that.
Group dynamic. So Toph grew up having everything handed to her. She's never had the responsibility of carrying her own weight. And so it's like she gets that opportunity and runs with it, but not in the exact direction that needs to be ran into. like a wall.
That was so poetic.
Isn't it? So she doesn't understand, and also, I'm presuming she's an only child.
Yeah, she is.
Yes,
So she also doesn't understand the dynamic at all of helping others.
Or even kids her age.
Yeah.
Or herself. She can't do it. She's never done it before. So she gets offended, and I think maybe she takes the pick of like, they want to help me instead of they want her to help them.
I think for Toph, it's such a big deal to be carrying her own weight. She says it several times. It means something to her.
Well, her parents wouldn't allow her to
She's never been able
Right.
to do it.
And so I think it's very hurtful to her that here she is proud of herself, that she's not being a burden to them, that she is, quote, carrying her own weight, and Katara doesn't think it's enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's why she feels hurt by that. And Katara, of course, and we learn this in the next episode, the Water Tribe, very much about community, right? Very much about cooperation. That's part of the stuff that we learn in the next episode. So it's really offensive to Katara to have somebody in the group that isn't doing things that help the community.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Toph thinks, well, as long as I'm taking care of myself and I'm not asking you for anything, you should be happy with that.
Yeah.
This is a different
Papa's
perspective.
carrying their weight.
Okay, good lord. I always enjoy when we see kind of the mundane stuff we don't usually see, like them setting up camp.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun. Like Aang lifting off a saddle off and
Mm-hmm.
putting up a
Crushing
tent, getting
Sokka.
water and all that stuff. It's just cute.
Going back to the sort of Western face-off, that moment where Aang is airballing above the, like,
Yes.
and then Azula, nearly loses her balance, and then Zuko just runs
Just
headfirst
runs
into
right in.
Like, you can see the different ways they fight very clearly, and Zuko
Yeah.
just...
I loved Aang doing his airbender thing in the middle of them two when they're just shooting fire at each
Yeah, when he
other.
was avoiding
And
being,
Aang was just like,
around, just dodging everything.
I loved the cat fight when Katara was doing her cute little animation sequence of her and banging on the door and hopping around.
Oh.
It was so cute.
And
Made me
then
laugh.
he just stayed calm and said, I'm completely calm.
Yes, and Sokka's like, I'm just enjoying the show. As they fight.
Yeah, it was impressive, but it was frightening that it took all those benders to get Azula to even a little bit back down.
Oh, you probably didn't notice, I saw this online, that when everybody bit at her at the same time, Sokka threw his boomerang.
Good job, Sokka.
Was that this episode or the next one where Toph is like,
That was this one.
yeah, she goes,
It's 3 on 3.
it's 3 on 3, and Sokka's like, no, it's 4 on 3. And she's like, okay, 3 on 3 plus Sokka.
Right, poor
Poor
thing.
Sokka.
Poor Sokka.
So funny though.
But yeah, it was a little bit scary how powerful Azula was in a fight against multiple people.
Yeah.
Very much so. Very frightening. She's extraordinarily powerful. She's twisted and evil at heart, malicious and cruel. She's a great villain, though.
Mm-hmm. She's a good villain.
So the trio, or I guess the quartet, doesn't quite know
Cordo.
the Cordo.
Sure.
Yeah. They don't quite know their names yet, right? Because they don't even know Azula's name yet.
I think Zuko calls her Azula.
Okay, so Aang might know
Aang will
Azula's.
know.
But they still don't know May or Ty Lee, because when they
He
show up...
said those girls from Omaha.
Yeah, those 3 girls from Omashi is what Katara said.
Yeah, because
Okay.
Aang says, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes him introduce herself, basically.
No, she didn't say her name, though. She just said, "Do you not see the family resemblance?"
Yeah,
and then
but
started mocking them.
They know now, because he heard Zuko
And
call
I'm
her.
sure, well, maybe not, because I'm always surprised by how little Katara and Sokka seem to know.
Yeah,
I was
they don't
going to
know.
say, I would think that the name of the Fire Lord's daughter would be a
Yeah,
common
they don't-
knowledge thing.
No.
They don't watch the subplots with us.
That's true.
True.
That's true.
They don't. I'm always, taken aback sometimes by how out of touch they are. I guess we see that in the next episode as well, when Sokka does not recognize a particular type of wildlife.
It's true.
Yeah, and May and Ty Lee, that fight against Sokka and Katara, this time we see Ty Lee take out the non-bender and May take out the bender.
Yes,
Yes.
it was a reverse.
I didn't notice that. Also, May is terrifyingly good at that. What is it?
Little
Pressure
knives.
point thing.
That's Ty Lee.
Ty Lee's the pressure point one.
Tylee's the acrobat. May is the knife thrower.
Really?
Yes.
I've had them mixed up this entire
Abigail.
time.
Good Lord.
So the girl in pink is who?
Tylee.
Whoa.
And May's the emo one that throws daggers.
See, I just associated May because it's such a, springy
Oh,
summer
gotcha.
with the springy girl.
It's like
Yeah,
M-A-I.
Yeah.
May.
Gotcha.
Okay, anything else about the chase? Love this episode.
Love it.
Very good.
Very
episode.
fun.
Loved it. Excellent
Oh, we didn't
episode.
really talk about Iroh and Tall.
Oh,
I mean, we did.
it was a good scene. It was a very
Not
poignant scene because they were both a little bit lost.
Yeah.
For sure. And I love Toph's little parting, well, maybe when you find him, you should let him know you need him too. Yeah.
So she was so defensive in the beginning. I was
Mhm.
like, why? You just think I'm a little girl and I need help?
Yes.
I don't need help
He's
from
like,
you.
no, I just like sharing tea with
Yeah. He
strangers.
said,
Yeah.
I wanted to.
Yeah. Also, him realizing that she was with the Avatar.
Yeah.
That's the only reason Azula got him, is because he was distracted by that.
Yes.
Which is cute.
It's very cute.
Alright.
Lightning strikes.
Here's a
off,
question
adorable.
for the two of you. Do you think Toph realized Iroh was there? Because that's a big question. Can she identify people from just her face?
Well, here's my thing. How did they both get there? They obviously had to travel the same direction to end up in the same place.
Yeah.
That doesn't
So did
necessarily...
they travel together
Toph,
or
no,
near one
Toph
another?
left earlier, we saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how far off and how selective is her hearing per se?
I don't know.
And
Could she see, I say the word see, but could she feel him behind her no matter the distance?
probably she's real good at, remember she could pick up ants.
Yeah.
So I bet she knew.
She knew all along,
Do
you
you
think?
think...
I think she knew.
Okay.
Then did she
Because she
tell?
knew. I
And
bet
did she tell the rest of the group that she met up with Iroh? Because they know about Iroh.
They do.
Yeah.
I would think that I don't know where the group stands 100%, but I would think that the group, based on what happened at the Northern Water Tribe, would have some measure of respect for Iroh.
Right. And I bet
An
there's,
interesting theory.
I'm not saying they're going to invite him, to take a ride on Appa with them and hang out with him, but I mean, they know that he stood against Zhao and for, the protection of the spirits. That's got to count for something.
I would love even just one of those sweet moments that Avatar, or that the writers are really good at, of them sitting around and they mention him and talk going, him? I love that guy, he made me tea. And then that'd be the end of it.
Yeah.
Speaking of those moments, I love that Toph had to say that Toph actually said who's Zuko in the beginning of this episode.
Yes.
They didn't mess that up. That's a really easy thing to mess up, and it's something that annoys people. But they didn't.
Right.
Yeah. Alright, we've got to move on.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Admiral, you want to do
These are
better
just
work?
really good.
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, prayers, everybody. Okay, so this episode is about Aang learning earthbending with Toph. But he loses a lot of confidence along the way, and it kind of takes a lot of getting up to for him to be able to earthbend. And while Toph is teaching, we see a couple moments of Katara coming up and being like, maybe you should try some positive reinforcement, because she's really, 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 really hard on Aang and rough. It reminds me of you saying that she was originally a big buff man.
Yeah.
I see the big buff man come out while she's trying to teach
Mm-hmm.
Aang earthbending, and so Katara is trying to convince her of hey, it's a lot easier for him to learn if you use positive reinforcement. So this whole time, Sokka goes off. I can't remember why he goes off in the beginning.
Just to get
Yeah,
food.
just food.
So to get food, and when he goes off, he is hunting this cute little creature, and when he goes to strike with this cute little creature, it's like an earth slide or something. Well, he gets stuck in a crack. And the more he struggles, the more stuck he gets. And that cute little creature is just dancing all around him. So this subplot just ends with him making stupid vows to something that doesn't exist. Of what is it, the karma person?
Yeah, whoever's in charge of this karma stuff is
Yes.
supposed to be out too.
Yes, I will be a vegetarian and quit sarcasm. Those are the kind of things he says. See, I'm not good at this.
Zuko and Iroh.
I don't remember anything about Zuko and Iroh.
Oh,
my
Lord.
gosh.
Daniel, give us a Zuko and Iroh subplot.
Alright, the Zuko and Iroh subplot is that, he's trying to teach Zuko how to lightning bend.
Oh, yeah.
And eventually he gives up that and, says he can teach him how to redirect lightning. And he can do this by teaching him how waterbenders do things. So he goes through the segment where he teaches him about all four elements and how
We'll
they
go
do
into more
things.
detail about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it was really cool.
And then eventually he says, teaches him how to redirect lightning, and Zuko says, alright, let's try it now. And he says, no, I'm not going to shoot lightning at you. And then Zuko says, well, I'll find my own lightning. And he goes up to the top of a mountain and has his angst scene against the clouds.
Basically yells at God.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Alright, Abby, you want to finish up with Aang and Toph?
So eventually during their training, all of a sudden they're like, hey, wait a minute, where's Sokka? We kind of have to find him. So they go off looking for Sokka, and Aang stumbles across Sokka, stuck in his little crack with this cute little animal, and he realizes, he tries to airbend him out, it doesn't work, and Sokka's like, yo, you're gonna have to earthbend. So while they're fighting about that, Aang's like, no, I can't get Toph, because he doesn't want to hurt his pride, basically. Aang says something about the cute little animal, which Sokka named
Foo-Foo Cuddly Poots.
Foo-Foo Cuddly Poots.
Okay, and it is actually a
Saber-tooth moose lion.
cub. And I hate that y'all know that so well. And Aang is like, where's your mama? And so, of course, this huge animal, which is a
Saber-tooth moose lion.
barely knocks down trees to get to her cub. And Aang has to, at the last minute, earthbend Sokka out.
No!
Nope. Wrong.
Basically, he stands his ground against the huge beast.
Oh, yeah. And so then he gets, like, courage up, and Toph is like, you're ready! Aang's like, what? You've been there the whole time? She's like, yeah, you're ready. That's the courage you needed. Blah, 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 and he learns how to earthbend.
Well, Aang realizes she's been there the whole time, gets mad at her, and as she's swinging down his staff that she stole from him, he grabs it and says, enough, and stands up to her, too. And then she says, okay, you've got stuff. Because this whole episode is about how Aang wants to go at a problem at a different angle. Like, run away from the problem so he can fix the problem. And Toph's like, no. An earthbender stands their ground and takes on the problem.
Faces the problem.
She's like, you stood up to a huge, horrible beast, but more impressively, you stood up to me. Earthbend. And then Aang, of course, moves the rock.
And then he's like, look what I can do! And moves a boulder.
Yeah. Alright, so let's talk.
Also, I'm never doing that again.
Okay, great.
You really did a good job, man.
It was a good job.
Continue.
Okay, so do y'all just want to jump into the 4 element stuff? Because I'm just gonna pull up Iroh's exact dialogue, and then we can talk about each one.
Because this is some primo dialogue.
This is the best lore that we've had in the entire series, and I love some lore.
Alright, so he starts with fire. So this is a direct quote. Fire is the element of power. The people of the Fire Nation have desire and will, and the energy and drive to achieve what they want. So, that makes sense.
Very accurate from...
Very accurate.
Very cool. Next, we go to Earth. Earth is the element of substance. The people of the Earth Kingdom are diverse and strong. They are persistent and enduring.
Yep.
Cool.
Stubborn is a good word for
Good word for that.
the Earth Kingdom.
Air is the element of freedom. The air nomads detached themselves from worldly concerns and found peace and freedom. They apparently also had pretty good senses of humor. Then, last but not least, is water. Water is the element of change. The people of the water tribe are capable of adapting to many things. They have a sense of community and love that holds them together through anything. And then he goes on to tell Zuko. Zuko complains that this sounds like Avatar stuff. And I loved that Iroh's response, and he poked him gently with the stick that he was drawing with. He's like, it can help you too, and pokes him in the chest. It's just such a sweet teaching moment. Like, you can tell that Iroh loves him so much.
Oh my gosh, so much. So much. Can I back up to another amazing quote, which I also have? Word for word.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
Sorry.
Sure.
No, go ahead.
No, it's alright.
No, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Because we were going to talk about the 4 elements.
Yeah,
more.
I would like to
let's talk about the 4 elements.
I want to talk about water because it talks about, and this goes back to Mom's theory that we talked about last podcast episode. He uses the words, I'm going to say it again, they have a sense of community and love that holds them together through anything. So they mentioned water through anything, how it holds them together. Dun dun, Mom's theory's right.
What was this theory again?
That they're going to bend people.
Because water connects everything.
Because we're so much water and people.
Y'all are dark.
They're dark.
Let me straight up tell y'all right now, y'all dark. Also, okay, we're stop talking about it because it's dark. Okay, so what?
It's gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen.
Okay, so with those definitions, I want to know Who belongs to who? Hogwarts house shortened this.
Oh, no, I gotta read them again.
Oh, you're 100% water.
Yeah, you are.
You think I'm adaptable?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know, because when you change my plans, I cry in my room for about 2 minutes, and then I can...
But your sense of community is so strong.
Yeah. Very true. Social butterfly.
So
Sorry.
I think based on those descriptions, I'm fire, and I don't want to be a bad guy.
Not all the Fire Nation is bad. We've said this before.
Yeah.
Think about Rosie.
I'm just saying. There's a trend because I'm a Slytherin and I'm fire. This is not good for me.
Puff in water.
But this is only going to make sense to out of our probably 4 listeners, maybe 1. We took the what order of the night radiant quiz on Q today from Brandon Sanderson's books, and she was a stab order.
Okay, now for the rest of us, I have no idea what that means. We're gonna move on. Daniel.
I don't know.
Hold on, I'll do yours. Wait, Mom, what are you?
No, I want you to do mine too.
Oh my gosh. Oh, our favorite listener, Natalie, is a hundo water. I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone can adapt to Kansas.
Can we take that out in post?
No.
I don't think anybody is really.
We are not air nomads.
I don't think any of us are air, but I also don't want to put you in earth. Diverse and strong, persistent and enduring. No. You might be more earth than I'm not saying you are earth, you're 100 fire, but I'm saying out of all of us, you might be more earth than any of them.
Yeah, I would say Dad's earth.
Maybe.
Y'all have to say what you are. And make it quick, because we still got an episode to talk about.
Water. This is our last episode.
Yeah, I guess I'll go with water.
I know, but we haven't talked about it.
Well, we gotta hurry.
Y'all both saying water?
I'm saying water.
You know, that kind of brings me down on my water high. I'm a little upset y'all picked water.
Okay.
I think Mom's got earth in her.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
So basically, if I think I'm water and you think I'm earth, I'm mud.
Yeah.
Well, that's something I want to mention about the standoff when they fired all 4 elements. It's like, are the all 4 elements make mud or they make an explosion?
We don't have to talk about this anymore. Just leave in the comments what you think we are.
There we go.
The one person that
tread lightly, Natalie.
Okay, so let's talk about the actual episode.
Yes.
All right, can I go to my point? Because I was
really
excited.
And you got shot down because you
I
interrupted.
I was too soon, and I was too excited. So,
no fun.
Early in the episode, when we first meet Zuko and Iroh, and Zuko has made Iroh tea, and it's so sweet, but it's so bad that Iroh can't even drink a soda cup. But anyway,
the way she talks about this stuff kills me.
Zuko says, I'm reading this exact quote from the transcript. So, Uncle, I've been thinking. It's only a matter of time before I run into Azula again. I'm going to need to know more advanced firebending if I want to stand a chance against her. I know what you're going to say. She's my sister, and I should be trying to get along with her. And Iroh's response is, no, she's crazy and she's got to go down. Okay, so that part is great and it's beautiful and it's so funny, but I want to go back to what Zuko said for a second. Because in everything that Zuko said here, I didn't see the word Avatar anywhere.
Okay.
This was not, Uncle, you need to help me so that I can beat Azula and get the Avatar. No. It was just, I gotta take Azula down.
Oh. Good point. Good point. Interessante. Okay, so let's move on to Aang learning earthbending.
Can we talk about how proud Mom was of that? And all she got was interesting.
Well, we can't say anything.
Well, yeah, me and we can't say anything.
Yeah, we can't say anything.
That's
Mom,
right.
that was cool. I didn't pick up on it.
That was cool. I didn't pick up on that either.
Did not pick up on that. It makes sense. His priorities seem to have shifted.
It's not necessarily that his priorities have shifted, because I still believe that he's after the Avatar, but I think now he realizes that Azula is not going to allow him to succeed.
Well, here's my thing. Aang is not a threat to Zuko. He's just going to run from him.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not going to hurt Zuko.
He's just going to run.
He's going to protect himself. He's just going to run, though. Azula is a straight threat.
Now, that's very true.
That's true.
So, Boom. Only good thing to say per podcast. You will.
You will.
You had a good one
What
earlier
I love
dynamics.
about the Aang learning earthbending is if you see Aang and Toph side by side, they look completely different. Like, they move completely different. Like, it looks unnatural for Aang to, like, stop the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it makes sense that this would be a hard thing for him to learn, you know?
So is that true? Do we see that bear out with the Avatar cycle, that the one
Your
that's
opposite
furthest
episode.
away from you is always your hardest?
Mhm.
So it should be, feasibly, it should be easier for him to learn firebending than earth.
I mean, he already produced
He's
fire.
already, yeah.
He literally couldn't move a rock.
Right.
You
How
know?
long was that? Do you think that was like the beginning of a day to an end of the day?
What do you mean?
This episode. I
Oh,
mean, it had to be.
I think they stay. Okay, but here's the question: how long do they stay in that little? Because they were so excited because it was the perfect place to practice.
Ooh, yeah, we don't know.
Well,
if
how
that
long
maybe
was
the third or
Sokka's
fourth.
Sokka was
Stop.
just in there for a day.
Sokka was
Oh, only a day.
Yeah.
Also,
But
that
I
brings
mean-
that brings me to the point at the end where Angus complaining about being stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah,
And he keeps going, and Sokka's like, "Yeah, I can imagine what that feels like."
yeah, that conversation where Angus, like,
Yeah, they are
Having a
nailing
therapy session or
Sokka's
something.
comedy.
Well,
They really
the,
are.
The end where he's like, I was stuck there, and it made me realize something
And then
really
the Aang
important.
jumps
He goes,
up.
Guess what I can
Yeah.
do? We never hear what Sokka thought was so important.
yeah, what enlightenment Sokka gained.
I just want to
I
see.
love Sokka.
I
Also-
wanted a new pet companion, which I know we already have two. But
We can't have another one.
so cute.
We cannot have another one. It
What
is
is
out
he-
of the question. A saber-toothed moose lion cub.
I'm sorry. Come again.
A saber-toothed moose lion cub.
I didn't see the lion, but it's okay.
You
The
see
tail.
a lot of the older
The tail.
one. It's
Yeah.
got the tail and the claws.
In the claws.
Thank you for that movement.
Okay, also, I love that, Toph, though seeming like was a bad teacher, ended up being the perfect teacher.
Well, yeah, for
You know.
her element, yeah.
For her
Yeah,
element.
yeah. I think it was awesome that she came full circle in the episode, because, like, it's the start of the episode, you're like, ugh, maybe Toph can't teach, but by the end, you're like, oh no, herself became a teaching tool, you know?
Mhm.
It was awesome.
And we got such a good contrast because we had Toph trying to teach Aang. We had Katara pulling him out of that and taking him to do water bending because, that's how she feels like she had to calm the situation down. And we had Iroh teaching Zuko.
Yep.
And Iroh's teaching was very, very, leading him along, doing it with him, doing the motions over and over again. It's all about centering him and kind of getting him grounded and feeling it. And Iroh's so patient. And I need to go back and rewatch because I think I noticed a couple of times a lot of times he says Zuko, but one time this episode he said Prince Zuko.
Yeah, he sprinkles in that prince
He
sometimes.
does. And it's just, I think that's just to get his attention, and it was when he talked about shame. And
Yeah.
Zuko said, I'm not...
We haven't even talked about lighting.
That line was so good.
I loved it.
Shame
Shame
is
is
not
not-
pride is not the opposite of shame.
It's
It
the
is the
source of the
source.
source.
Yeah.
Oh
good.
my gosh, that was so good. But he said Prince Zuko
Yeah.
at that moment. It was Prince Zuko. Shame is not the opposite of pride.
Yeah.
No, pride is not the opposite of shame.
Yeah.
It's the source.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my goodness, and the opposite of shame is actually humility.
Yeah.
Which is
That's some good
some
stuff.
good stuff.
That's a moment where you're like, I want my kids to watch this show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's some
a
good
very
stuff.
good line.
Also, the fact that he can't do lightning because he doesn't have peace of mind,
Mm.
which makes Azula even scarier.
Yes. Because
Homegirl
she's-
does terrible things, completely at peace with it.
Yep.
She ain't got a doubt in her mind.
She's actually a sociopath.
Yes.
It also tells us that that Uncle Iroh is chill with his life.
Even with everything that he's been through.
Yeah.
And everything he's lost. So I had a scary moment thought that I think that the timeline doesn't match up. Uncle Iroh is not old enough to have been involved in the slaughter of the Airbender.
No. Far too young for that.
Because it was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Because for a minute, because we saw him, at Ba Sing Se in the flashback, and then I thought, when he said the stuff about the Earth nomads having a sense of humor,
The air nomads, yeah.
The air nomads, sorry. Part of me just went, but then I had to think it through, and I'm like, no. But then the age thing, you said that Kiyoshi was 200. I didn't know if ages were just weird. So.
No, I think they're pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty accurate. They messed up with the Kiyoshi thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and Zuko, it just went through it this episode. The beginning with, it just keeps exploding in my face, like everything always does. And, what turmoil? I'm completely at peace. And it's like, honey. And then literally crying. That's the first time we see him cry.
Yeah.
And how beautiful the animation with the rain streaming off his face, but you can still tell that those were tears.
Alright, I have a confession to make, dear listeners. Mom, when we started the second season, was like, is the animation better? And I got so offended. It's like, what is wrong with the animation? And then I actually looked at it objectively, and yes, the animation is better in season 2. Not that there was something wrong in season 1, but...
Those are my earbuds.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay, I forgive you.
Okay.
But yeah, that final scene where he says he'd never held back before, crying out of the storm.
So storms are significant for our boy Zuko here. Like, we had some revelation for him in the episode called The Storm, and now we have this moment where he's,
he has inner turmoil. I mean,
yes.
he's inside there's a storm.
And
it makes sense that whenever this is outside there's a storm, things get revealed.
And I said that, the extraction of his Fire Nation identity as the heir to the throne, and that it was going to be a very slow and painful extraction. I think we're seeing that.
Okay.
It's going to be tough.
Okay. Alright, any other thoughts?
Just 100% agreement with Uncle Imo. She's got to go down.
Yeah.
I'm really sitting right here.
No.
Alright, we done?
I think so.
Okay, favorites, Abby.
The chase.
I'm the chase.
Zuko alone.
Oh, it's so hard, but I'm gonna go the chase. Although Zuko alone is wonderful. I'm going the chase.
Anybody jumping ship?
Listen, so I'm having a hard time because the psychology here is real strong.
Mm-hmm.
The character building is real strong. But I still enjoyed watching Winter Solstice Part 2 more.
Okay, so you're still on Winter Solstice Part 2?
Yes, but I have a prediction.
What?
When the revelation comes out to the rest of the characters of these, like, psychology little things. You know, like when some of their character flaws are shown or some of their character whatevers are shown to the other characters and there's, like, a revelation moment, I think that's going to be my favorite.
Okay.
Like, when it comes to light, obviously, this is the psychology of this character.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
No. That's not going to happen in one episode. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm a little embarrassed that I'm still in Winter Solstice.
No, you should be. Don't be embarrassed of your favorite.
Favorite episode.
I'm sticking with Blind Bandit.
I am going to go for Zuko alone.
Oh!
Whoa!
I'm jumping to the chase.
Oh!
Whoa!
And guess what? If I were ranking, I would slot Zuko alone
above Blue Spirit.
I would go Chase, Zuko alone, Blue Spirit.
Very interesting. The chase is definitely my number 2.
I am of the opinion that after Blind Bandit, Avatar goes from good to great. I really believe that's true. Like, stuff comes together in a good way. Alright, so we're going to watch The Library, The Desert, it's like the travel to
the Serpent Pass.
I remember these 3. I actually remember these 3 by name, so that's really exciting.
Oh, that is exciting.
That's the first time this has happened for me.
Anything called The Library.
Yeah.
I remember.
Oh, Mom, I predicted that this would be your favorite episode for a long time.
I remember really liking this episode.
Yeah, you're gonna love this episode.
Daniel's eyes did something funny at the mention of the desert. That seems like a really innocuous episode title.
Well, I will stand
There's
by.
some prime comedy in the desert, and that's why I'm excited for it.
Yes! Oh, no, yeah!
Okay. Alright, I guess it's my outro.
Yeah. Uh-huh. You can do it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go with keep your arrow on straight. Here's my other one. How do you feel about this one? When the world needed him most, the Avatar returned to Netflix.
Oh. See, I'm digging that crap, but it has nothing to do with our podcast.
Okay, fine. Bye.